Welcome back all. Today's topic will be variables, and we have mentioned them already, but today I will expand upon the subject. Now, thus far I have mentioned that there are local and environmental variables. Today I will introduce built-in variables. So these affect the behavior of Bash script, and each one of them has its purpose and meaning. So let's go ahead and see how that actually works out. There are a lot of them. I mean, like, really, there are a lot of them. So let's go ahead and start picking them one at a time, although, of course, we'll in all likelihood not mention all of them here, as there are quite a good amount. If I type in echo $bash, this will give me a path to the bash binaries. Now, there are other ones, for example, bash underline environment. Now this will hold the location that will be sourced once the script is invoked, but we're not going to get anything now. This is used within the scripts. Anyway, we have $bash underline subshell. Now of this I will talk a good deal later on when we get to the advanced stages, when we actually get to the subshells, but I just wanted to tell you that it does indeed exist. On the more interesting side, you have the bash PID, the $sign. The bash PID, this is the process ID of the current instance of bash, and the $sign will give you basically will give you the process ID of the script. So $sign is the process ID of the script. So let's go ahead and see how that actually works. If we type in echo out, if we want to echo out the process ID of the current script, we shall type in simply $sign. Let's put it in the quote marks, and let's go ahead and run it. So you see 3035. If you're not sure what a PID is, what does it mean? That is the process ID, the identifier for a certain process, so that it can be referenced by something. For example, if I type in htop, I will get a list of processes, and the first line will be PID, process ID, and you can see that every single process has a ID by which it can be referenced, which can be used to actually kill the process or interact with the process in some other way or manner. If you don't have htop installed, you can use simply top. You can still see the process ID on the left side, and you can see the process IDs of every single process that is running. To install htop, just type in dnf install htop --y. That should install it. Okay, let's go ahead and clear this. Bring this down here, and let us go ahead and move on. So another variable which is kind of more on the practical side of things, which you should know, is you can type in echo, and we can echo out the bash version. So bash underline version. And you can see it does indeed issue out the bash version. It's 4.3.42, and then you have this one here, and then release. Now we can basically use an array, which is bash verse info. And I will show you how that works. That is an array of 6 elements that store more detailed information about the installed version of bash. So let's go ahead and take a look at this example and see how that actually works out. Didn't type it in here, but I will show you in the example. So let's go ahead and create a simple for loop, and we will iterate through n. We shall say in, go ahead and open curly brackets from 0 ... to 5. Why from 0 to 5? I said 6 elements. Well, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 elements. We're just beginning with 0, not with 1. the argument list is from 0 to 5. I hope that you can figure that out from the example. Anyway, let's go ahead and type in do echo out bash info. Let's go ahead and do this $n, close it, equals $, curly brackets, bash info bracket $n, close bracket, close curly bracket, done. So no big deal. Not but an error. Not too difficult, but because you can see I'm making some errors here and there. Let's go ahead and close it, write it, and let's go ahead and type in first. Excellent. So we'll need a bit of a bigger screen here. And as you can see, this is going to give us a lot more information as opposed to what we were getting thus far with a simple command of a bash version, with the simple variable of bash version. The first one, where it says 4, this is the number of the major version. The second one is the number of the minor version. 42 is the patch level. 1 is the build version. Release, the release status, so just the status of the release. And down below we have x86-64, Red Hat, Linux, GNU. This is the architecture for which it is meant. Since if you're wondering why is it Red Hat here, well, we are using Fedora, or I am using Fedora. For you, this output might be different if you're using, for example, Ubuntu or Arch or something like that, or Mint. Completely relevant, but that is it is relevant that it is different, but the information can come quite in handy. If you're wondering, as I said, why is it Red Hat here, since we're using Fedora, Fedora is basically a Red Hat sponsored project. It's basically the testing ground for all the technologies which are later on to be employed, which are later on to be integrated in Red Hat. So they are integrated in Fedora, and you can see how it works. And then if it works out well, great, it's going to be integrated into Red Hat. If not, oh well, it won't. That's why Fedora is generally not for the absolute beginners, unless you have some sort of guidance. Unless you have some sort of help, you would usually choose Ubuntu or something like that, because you encounter a lot of errors here and there, and it takes up quite a bit of time, and more importantly, it takes a lot of nerves to actually start fixing things. These are usually easy fixes that can be done in 2-3 seconds, but if you're just beginning, you don't know that, so you have to go search through the forums, ask people, etc. to get about things. Anyway, now you might be wondering, why on earth have you recommended us to use Fedora if things are such? Well, I'm using it, and I'm guiding you through it. And if you have problems, you can always go into the discussion section. We're more than happy to help you out any way we can. Moving onwards, we have some more variables like $path, which holds the path to binaries. It is a list of directories which are separated by colons. Let's give it here's an example. So if it's like echo path, and there you go. So this is one path, colon, another path, colon, another path, etc. It goes on and on. Just keep in mind that the $path does not hold the path built-in variable does not hold the current working directory due to some security reasons. You also have other variables which we will use in the scripts themselves, which is cd path. It's not going to output anything now. This holds a list of search paths that are available to the cd command. Paths will also be separated by a colon, and then you have a .s, then you have $, and editor, which is the default editor that a script invokes. Now, you also have the UID, which is the user's real ID number as recorded in etc pass WD. This is read-only variable and cannot be changed. So if we type in echo $UID, you can see that the user ID of the user Chronic is 1000. And then you have the EUID, like this. They can be the same, but they do not have to be the same. EUID is the effective user ID. It's the ID number of the user's current identity. As I said, it can be the same as the UID, but it doesn't have to be necessarily the case. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the examples and see how this actually works out. Let's just go ahead and delete this. Root underline UID. So by default, root has the UID of 0. This is something that you should know, quite important, and pretty easy to remember. Root has the UID of 0 by default. Let's go ahead and echo -n UR : now, and just doesn't print the trailing new line character. What does that mean? Well, the next echo below will actually not go into the new line, but rather instead it will go into the same line here. Okay, so let's type in if space bracket $UID, and we can have something like dash equal quote marks $root underline UID quote mark, close it. Then, so this will basically check if the user ID is the same as root. We shall echo out root, which will tie to the upper statement of echo, dot your, notice the escape character that I'm using for the $, UID is equal to $UID, and here I'm actually referencing the variable itself. Next up, we'll type in else echo user. So you are some user. Your UID is equal to $UID. Finish. Let's go ahead and write this, and let's go ahead and run the script. You see, you are user, your, and then the $UID. I just want to show you which variable is being referenced here. Is 1000, and see how it actually prints it out. You see here, I've echoed it out, and still it comes out. So this is the, there we go. So UID, this is EUID. As I said, it can be the same, but it's not mandatory. If I was root, it would have actually printed out you are root. Simple as that. So no big deal. Next up, we can go ahead and take a look at the variables which actually contain the function's name. I haven't really mentioned the functions, and that's going to come, but here's a bit of a sample that I'm going to go ahead and show you. For example, if I'm writing some function, and if I type in, I don't know, some function. Okay, I'm not going to give it any arguments. Functions will be explained I will explain them in great detail so that you understand them. But here, I'm just going to go ahead and call a simple function. I'm going to create a simple function, and then I'm going to call it, which will do the following. So echo out function name is name. Oops. And let's go ahead and call the function. Some function Okay, so down below, this will call the function, but we can type in echo down below just to demonstrate one more point. So outside, I will explain soon enough. So name equals name. Okay, so we have created a function here. Inside that function, we have stated that we would like to echo out the function name. This is the function name. And now we have called the function, and down below the function, we are actually again printing out the variable for function name. But here it will actually be null because it is outside of the function. So let's go ahead and see how that works out. Press enter, and you see function name is some function, yes, and then it says outside. I've just stated outside so that you're referencing to the fact that it's actually outside of the function, and we want to write this variable out here, and then we want to write its value out, but no, the value is null, non-existent, because it is outside of the function. This will only print out the function name of the function in which it actually is. If it's outside of the function, not gonna happen, not meant for that. Anyway, running short on time, bid you farewell, and we will continue with this in the follow-up tutorial.